Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of the Palmetto State, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this sixth episode of Most Haunted Places in South Carolina, we delve deeper into the shadows cast by ghostly legends, uncovering tales so spine-tingling they'll leave you questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. From antebellum plantations steeped in tragedy to Civil War battlefields frozen in time, South Carolina is a treasure trove of spectral stories rooted in sorrow, betrayal, and unrelenting despair. South Carolina's haunted places are more than just locations. They're vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time, battles fought on hallowed ground, unspeakable crimes cloaked in secrecy, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied voices that drift through empty halls. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted locales across South Carolina, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted mansions, explore eerie swamps cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned institutions teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of South Carolina, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Battery Carriage House Inn, a ghostly grandeur in Charleston nestled in the historic district of Charleston, the Battery Carriage House Inn stands as a monument to both luxury and despair, a grand Victorian-era masterpiece whose opulent facade conceals decades of tragedy and supernatural activity. Built in the late 19th century, the inn quickly became a retreat for affluent travelers seeking respite amidst the cobblestone streets, an antebellum charm of one of America's oldest cities. With its sweeping staircases, ornate woodwork, and panoramic views of the Charleston harbor, the inn epitomized elegance and sophistication. Yet beneath its polished exterior lay a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, violence, and untimely deaths. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Battery Carriage House Inn revolves around Room 8, said to be haunted by the spirit of a jilted lover named Rebecca. According to local lore, Rebecca checked into the inn in the early 20th century under the pretense of meeting her fiancé, only to discover he had abandoned her for another woman. Overcome with grief, she took her own life in the room, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow that continues to haunt visitors today. Guests staying in Room 8 frequently report strange occurrences, lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of roses lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. Another prominent figure in the inn's haunted lore is believed to be Captain Francis W. Dawson, a Confederate officer who frequented the property during the Civil War. Paranormal investigators exploring the inn have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "retreat," and "hold the line." Witnesses describe seeing a shadowy figure resembling Dawson pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be a sword before vanishing without a trace. The inn's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has become a focal point of paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Overnight visitors to the Battery Carriage House Inn frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the inn's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty soldier's uniform standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Battery Carriage House Inn remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering Rebecca, Captain Dawson, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the inn's tragic tale. The Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon, shadows beneath the bustling streets of Charleston, lies one of South Carolina's most historically significant and notoriously haunted sites, the Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon. Built in 1771, this iconic structure served as a hub for colonial commerce, political gatherings, and wartime imprisonment during both the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. Its stately facade belies the horrors that unfolded within its subterranean depths, where prisoners were subjected to unimaginable suffering in cramped, rat-infested cells. Today, the dungeon stands as a grim reminder of the past, its stone walls still echoing with the cries of those who perished there, and according to legend, the restless spirits who refused to leave. One of the most pervasive hauntings associated with the Provost Dungeon involves the ghost of a young girl named Annabelle, who was imprisoned alongside her family after being accused of espionage during the Revolutionary War. Historical records indicate that Annabelle died of starvation and exposure, her frail body succumbing to the dungeon's harsh conditions. Visitors exploring the site report hearing faint sobbing emanating from the darkest corners of the dungeon, accompanied by the sound of chains rattling. Some claim to see a translucent figure crouched against the wall, her wide eyes filled with terror, before vanishing into thin air. Another prominent figure in the dungeon's haunted lore is believed to be Captain John Cross, a British officer tasked with overseeing the facility during the war. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Release me," and "I failed them." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure clad in a red coat pacing anxiously near the entrance, his silhouette illuminated by lantern light before disappearing without explanation. Some speculate that Captain Cross remains tethered to the dungeon due to guilt over the atrocities committed under his watch, while others believe his spirit seeks redemption for failing to protect his prisoners. The dungeon's labyrinthine corridors and low ceilings contribute significantly to its eerie atmosphere. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a tour guide who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that these apparitions represent the countless souls who met their end in the dungeon, forever trapped in the liminal space between life and death. Modern-day investigations into the Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the dungeon and the upper floors of the exchange. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique artifacts believed to have belonged to prisoners or guards. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help us," and "We're still here." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon remain popular destinations for tourists and locals alike. Its rich history and architectural significance make it a favorite spot for educational tours and historical reenactments. For those brave enough to venture into its depths after dark, the promise of encountering Annabelle, Captain Cross, or one of the countless other spirits said to linger adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor steps onto the dungeon's damp stone floor, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past, or will they become another chapter in the dungeon's macabre legacy? The Litchfield Plantation whispers beneath the live oaks perched along the marshlands of Pawleys Island. Litchfield Plantation stands as a testament to the resilience of South Carolina's antebellum elite. A majestic estate built in the mid-18th century that has witnessed decades of prosperity, scandal, and personal vendettas. Its sprawling fields, towering live oaks, and elegant plantation house evoke a sense of permanence and tradition, yet within its halls lie stories of betrayal, murder, and vengeful spirits unwilling to fade into obscurity. One of the most infamous incidents tied to Litchfield Plantation occurred in the early 19th century, when Colonel Benjamin Huger, patriarch of the influential Huger family, was found dead under suspicious circumstances. Rumors swirled about foul play involving rival landowners and political enemies, though no conclusive evidence emerged. Locals believe his ghost haunts the plantation house, pacing anxiously as though still deliberating over the fateful decisions that led to his demise. Visitors have reported hearing faint footsteps descending the staircase, followed by a deafening crash, as though someone has fallen again. Others describe seeing a pale man staring mournfully out of upstairs windows, his expression frozen in eternal anguish. Another prominent figure in the plantation's haunted lore is believed to be Emily Huger, the youngest daughter of Colonel Huger, whose life ended in tragedy. According to family accounts, Emily fell deeply in love with a Union soldier during the Civil War, a union forbidden by her father. When news of their secret engagement reached him, Colonel Huger forbade the match, prompting Emily to flee the plantation in despair. She was later found drowned in the nearby marshes, her body bruised and battered. Since then, visitors to the plantation report seeing a spectral figure perched precariously on the balcony railing, gazing downward as though contemplating a leap. Others describe hearing faint sobs carried by the wind, accompanied by the splash of water rippling against the riverbanks. Adding to the plantation's haunted allure are the countless gatherings and celebrations that took place within its walls during its heyday. Many believe residual energy from these events remains trapped within the structure, manifesting as phantom sounds of laughter, music, and conversation. At night, when the mansion is bathed in moonlight, some visitors swear they can hear the distant strains of a piano and the low murmur of revelry, as though a party from another era continues to unfold. Paranormal investigators exploring Litchfield Plantation have captured compelling evidence of its supernatural activity. Thermal cameras reveal cold spots concentrated near the staircase and the balcony railing, where many of the tragedies unfolded. Audio recordings pick up fragmented phrases like "help me" and "don't let go," delivered in tones of sheer desperation. One particularly unsettling discovery came when a team member set up motion-activated cameras overnight, capturing footage of a translucent figure standing motionless at the midpoint of the staircase before vanishing without explanation. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Litchfield Plantation remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. Its picturesque setting and rich history make it a favorite spot for photography and leisurely strolls. For those brave enough to venture inside after dark, the promise of encountering Emily or one of the countless other spirits said to linger adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor steps onto the plantation grounds, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past, or will they become another chapter in the plantation's macabre legacy? The Puggins Porch Restaurant, elegance entangled with the supernatural in the heart of Charleston, where the vibrant energy of Queen Street meets the historic charm of antebellum architecture, stands Puggins Porch. A beacon of refined Southern cuisine with a haunting legacy that dates back over a century. Established in 1976 within a converted Victorian home, Puggins Porch quickly became a hub for food lovers, locals, and tourists seeking a taste of Lowcountry hospitality. Its stately courtyards, hand-carved wooden furnishings, and lush gardens evoke a sense of timeless grace, yet beneath its polished veneer lies a darker history steeped in tragedy, betrayal, and spectral encounters. One of the most iconic hauntings associated with Puggins Porch is that of Zoe, a former resident of the house who met a tragic end. Described as kind-hearted but deeply troubled, Zoe's life was marred by personal struggles and societal pressures. Historical records indicate that she fell victim to a fire that swept through the home in the early 1900s, leaving her trapped inside. Her death sent shockwaves through the community, and her memory has since become intertwined with the fabric of Puggin's porch. Guests and staff alike report seeing a woman in a flowing Victorian gown gliding silently through the dining rooms, her translucent form illuminated by dim light. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, while others report hearing soft humming emanating from empty rooms, believed to be Zoe tidying up after guests long gone. Another prominent figure in the restaurant's haunted lore is believed to be Eleanor Braddock, a wealthy socialite who hosted lavish parties in the home during its heyday. Though not a permanent resident, her larger-than-life personality left an indelible mark on the property. Visitors recount sightings of a tall, imposing woman clad in period attire, pacing anxiously near the bar or sitting alone at a corner table. Her presence is often accompanied by the faint clinking of silverware and the smell of lavender, as though she's preparing for one last soiree. Some speculate that Eleanor lingers due to unfinished business, unable to part ways with the city that played such a pivotal role in her life. The restaurant's basement, once used for storage and wine cellars, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a server who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the home's early years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Modern-day investigations into Puggin's porch's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the main dining room and the basement. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "I'm sorry," and "Let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Puggin's porch continues to draw visitors eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. For those brave enough to dine there, the opportunity to encounter Zoe, Eleanor Braddock, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural splendor or the thrill of peeling back the layers of its enigmatic history, Puggin's porch promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. As we traverse the haunted landscapes of South Carolina, from the opulent halls of Puggin's porch to the somber grounds of Old Sheldon Church, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of hospitals to the shadowed basements of monuments, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. As we bring this chilling journey through South Carolina's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of South Carolina's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting,